The first saleable item I created was called the I Like Ludwig button, and it was in competition with the I Love Elvis. I never responded to Elvis Presley. It just didn't ring with me. Beethoven, that's what I listened to. And I had a perfect audience. The button became a national seller. They wrote about it first in the New Yorker and then in places around the country and so on. I sold thousands of these buttons. So I put myself through the Art Students League with money I made from the Ludwig buttons. I really didn't know what the league was about other than it was an art school and that they didn't require me to have a high school diploma. I walk into the room and I see all these other students with pads. I had a little pad and I had a pencil. I was probably the youngest one. I was 17. And there were 50-year-olds or 60-year-olds. And all of a sudden, this man walks in with a gray suit, vest, white shirt, black polished shoes. He went around the room. I remember he came to me. He said, I need a bigger pad. I need charcoal, not a pencil. And he told me just to make as big a drawing as I could on this pad, which I did. And then when he took off his jacket and rolled up his sleeves, ready to work, but that was very serious. I had no idea. Certainly didn't know who George Grosz was. I felt an authority was there. I felt the presence of someone who was confident. When I left, I thought, hey, I think maybe I had a great day. Maybe I'll be back tomorrow. I was called by Rosina Florio, who was the head of the Art Students League. Bob, she said, how would you like to teach the old George Grosz class? And of course, I had never taught anywhere. I walked into this class, and of course, it brought me right back to 1959. You're walking on the floor that Grosz walked on. George Grosz was teaching at the League because he didn't need a degree. He couldn't have taught at one of the lofty art schools like Yale. Took off my jacket and I rolled up my sleeves and I took a piece of charcoal and I started to show people what I knew could, not just paying back, but to remember the things that got you to where we are. And as we continue this, we see it. This little piece of charcoal, piece of paper, and your eye and hand starting to work together. And it's the greatest discipline in the world. You see that policeman with a dog's head, and then the dog with the policeman's head. I was trying to make the point that something was wrong.
Bob was really a traditional painter. He understood the basics.
George Grosz said, there's no such thing as a line in nature. That's all in our head. Pop art came and it was a whole different world now. Art became something that had nothing to do with reality. My art has a lot to do with the energy of the city. The city was reality. I had a number of things that I wish weren't true. I came to a point where I decided not to be a tragic figure. I didn't graduate from high school. I was illegitimate. But in the end, hey, I have my art. mediocrity deciding the fate of genius. It had to do with money. I was getting a lot of my anger out. In the 60s, I made a target. This is propaganda.
Artist Robert Cenedella has sparked quite a controversy in New York City.
Bob's a pain in the ass. That's why I'm doing this right now, because Bob's a pain in the ass.
They would never show Bob stuff. There's just too many thoughtful things going on. And we live in a society that doesn't like to think.
Money and art have nothing to do with each other. You can bastardize everything else in your life, but if you compromise with your art, why be an artist?